right, folks, I want to call the meeting to order. This is a regularly scheduled Greer City Council meeting called and convened this evening, March 26, 2019. Having duly assembled, I'd like to ask you, if you would, to stand with me as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance, and then I will offer an invocation for council this evening. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Oh, gracious and Heavenly Father, we are indeed grateful to be here this evening to conduct the business of this city. We thank you for the blessings that you have bestowed upon us today. We thank you for health and strength and for life itself. We thank you for the calling that you have placed upon our lives that brings us to this point tonight. And we ask for your insight, your understanding as we consider the business before us this evening. We pray that we will be mindful of all of the citizens of our city and act in their best behalf. We thank you for those who lead us in all endeavors, our staff, and for those that are working every day to make a difference in this town. And pray that you'll watch over and keep them safe. We ask all these things in Christ's name for His sake. Amen. Amen. We set aside a time at the first of each meeting for public forum. This is an opportunity for folks that have something pertinent to our published agenda to speak before council. Ms. Duncan, anyone to appear in public forum this evening?
No, sir. With
that, then, council will move to the minutes of the council meeting from March 12, 2019. I'll entertain a motion that they be received.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any items of note for the clerk? Hearing none. Ms. Duncan?
Mr. Arrowood?
Yes.
Ms. Booker?
Yes.
Mr. Dumas?
Yes.
Mr. Bettis?
Yes.
Ms. Albert?
Yes.
Mayor Danner?
Yes. Council, this evening, it's our pleasure to have a special recognition this evening. We have got the City of Greer Fire Department Explore Post 103 with us this evening. And these young men and women have been participating in this, and we want to offer a resolution. I believe Josh Holtzheimer is here with them this evening. I'm going to ask them if they would come to the front and join me and the administrator for a special recognition. Great. This is Resolution 9-2019, a resolution recognizing and commending the City of Greer Fire Department Explore 103. Whereas the City of Greer Fire Department's Explore Post 103 allows young people between the ages of 14 and 20 to gain hands-on experience while learning more about the fields of emergency medicine and fire science. Whereas Explore participants are trained by experienced Greer Fire Department members in such areas as fire suppression, salvage, overhaul, SCBA training, aerial operations, ground ladders, basic first aid and life support, fire prevention and public relations. The Explore program not only helps participants learn about the different facets of the fire service, but also promotes a better understanding of how to work together as a team to give back to their communities. Greer Explore Post 103 displayed its outstanding skills at the 2019 Winterfest competition held February 8th through 10th in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, winning first place in the Team Rapid Press event. Explore Post 103 continues to support the City of Greer Fire Department by creating talented and knowledgeable applicants when job openings become available. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mayor and City Council do hereby recognize the members of Post 103, Lee Harris, Bryson Wood, Luke Green, Chandler Bradshaw, Caleb Mitchell, and Hill Walters, Brendan Lukes, Sarah Acker, Carter Jones, and Pettis Advisor Richard Bradshaw, Chase Bradshaw, and Darren Davis for their excellence and dedication to the Explorer program in the city of Greer Fire Department on this 26th day of March 2019. Please join me in giving these folks a round of applause. Has something you'd like to present to you?
We have a copy of that resolution that we would like to have displayed over at the fire department, recognizing your efforts, and really appreciate what you folks have done. I see you have a plaque with you tonight, and congratulations. Very proud of the work you did over the Capitol.
Mr. Airwood, did you participate in that program?
Founding member.
Founding member. Did y'all carry water in buckets at that point in time?
You're older than I am.
It's a good program. Do you want to say anything about the experience that you gained? And
The Explorer program is a division of the Boy Scouts of America, and it allows young people, like the resolution said, between certain ages to come in and experience, in this particular case, the fire service. And it lets them know, it lets those folks know if they want to be a part of the fire service. And throughout the years, it's developed several very, very good firefighters that are serving either here, that have served here, or they're serving in departments in the upstate. Oh, he already left. I think we had one that went to Charleston, and then he is in New York City now.
Well, good. Well, thank you. Good program, and we appreciate those folks from the department that continue to work with that program and do such a good job. Council departmental reports are contained in your packet this evening. Information in regards to those can be had by contacting the department head or Mr. Driggers. And David Seifert joins us this evening for our financial report. Mr. Seifert, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. We are pleased to bring to you the financial performance summary for the period ended February of 2019. Starting with the general fund, we have revenue reported of $16.9 million, and expenditures under budget by 8% at $14.9 million. Referencing the dashboards, we have a positive variance of $656,000 and a carrying cash balance in the general fund of $17.9 million. Moving to the hospitality fund, we have revenue that is 3% over budget of $1.5 million, with expenditures for February of 2019 at $395,000. The carrying cash balance in the hospitality fund is presently at $2.2 million. And then finally, in the stormwater fund, we have revenue recorded of $1.2 million, with expenditures to date of $198,000. The carrying cash balance in the stormwater fund is $1.6 million. Be happy to take any questions you may have.
Council? Thank you for the update, sir. We appreciate it. Before we move to the administrator's report, I did want to make note of the fact that we've got some folks present this evening from Leadership Greer, and we are always grateful to have y'all with us. Just raise your hand out there and let us know where you are. Thank y'all for being part of our meeting this evening, and we thank you for participating in that program as well, too. With that, then, we're going to move on to the presentation by Mr. Steve Grant. Mr. Grant is our city engineer and brings us his annual report this evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thanks for the opportunity to present this report from the Building Development Standards Department. I would like to recognize Ruthie Helms, our building official, Kelly McCormick, our planning manager, and Robert Rue, our assistant city engineers in the audience with us. And I'd like to recognize their daily critical role in our department and also helping put this presentation together. Our everyday mission as a department is to promote quality growth, ensure design standards are met, verify construction standards are followed, contribute positively to the built environment, and to protect and provide for the health, safety, and welfare of all Greer citizens and the environment. We had 6 new team members this year. Robert, Shonda, and Brian on the left joined our team in new positions to help us manage the growth we continue to experience. And Joe, Mary, and Madeline on the right joined our team to fill vacancies in those positions. All are doing well and been good additions to our team. Our department has 3 distinct divisions: planning and zoning and GIS, building inspections and code enforcement, engineering and stormwater, and each division contributes uniquely to our overall mission, and I'd like to review the highlights of each division. Starting with planning and zoning, which promotes the city's growth by providing comprehensive planning, land development, and historic preservation coordination services. Some of the notable achievements and activities in planning and zoning this year: we had a division addition, a strategic move for our Madeline Bullock, our GIS planner. She's moved from the engineering division over to planning and zoning. That position is a better fit for supporting planning and zoning. We also made improvements to procedures with new forms and checklists, many of which are now online, all to help streamline and improve our efficiency. We also processed numerous applications for downtown facade grants, began new work on the comprehensive plan, and made changes to the zoning ordinance and land development regulations. And GIS also created a new online development tracking platform to be released very soon. We'll be coming back to you at a future meeting to show you that. Our boards and commissions activities for the last 5 years would note that the planning commission cases are purple numbers, and the PAC cases, the gold numbers, continue trending up. The total cases, which is in the green circle, has jumped from 109 last year to 137 this year. That's a 25% increase, and it's nearly double the 2016 numbers 2 years ago. So the Planning Commission, PAC, the BAR, mainly with facade grants, have all had jumps in activity. So we've had a very, very active boards and commissions this past year, record-setting activity in the total numbers. The zoning permit activity, signs and commercial permits, the purple and blue lines are holding steady, and the residential yellow permits had a large jump. Our annexations this past year, if you note the blue shaded areas where annexations occurred, and the city grew by 383 acres and increased to 24.4 square miles in size. This slide shows the communities added over the last 6 years. You see steady activity from 2013 to 2016, averaging 5 to 7 new communities per year. In 2017, last year, we added 12 new communities, and in 2018, we've added 18 new communities. So using planning zoning activity as a barometer, when they have high activity there, all other divisions experience high activity 6 to 8 months later. These 12 communities in 2017 led to record housing starts and inspections in 2018. I'm going to show you some slides on that a little later. So the 18 new communities added this past year is going to potentially lead to even higher and higher building activity in 2019 and 2020. So if the economy stays good. So in summary, the planning and zoning activity remains very high. Let's move over to building inspections and code enforcement. And their mission is to provide for the health, safety, and welfare of the general public through the equal enforcement of all applicable codes and ordinances of the city of Greer. I'd like to highlight code enforcement first. They focus on condemnations, housing complaints, overgrown grass, inoperable vehicles, graffiti, and illegal dumping. We had 4,910 cases last year. This chart is a comparison of code cases by month from 2015 to 2018. You notice it peaks somewhat in the summer due to grass growing. The total cases in 2017 were 5,525, but dropped to 4,910 last year And weather is a factor depending on how much rain we get, but we do think that the new policy of filing liens also contributed to the lower number of cases. And I'll go into that in a little more detail here. As just mentioned, the cases decreased, and we think that one of the factors is we're no longer providing free grass cutting services. Based on the ordinance you adopted a couple of years ago, we've been able to bill for services provided such as grass cutting, demolition, and debris cleanup, and if the invoices aren't paid, we can add the amount owed to the tax bill. And for the first time in the history of Greer, we're collecting monies owed to us for services provided. And we believe these collections have motivated property owners to comply, and therefore the number of cases has decreased, which in the big scheme of things is a positive for the city. Housing complaints is one of our priorities, and I would like to highlight a condemnation success story. This is some before pictures of a condemned house in the Sunnyside area. Just some pictures of that. And then we had permits issued for the renovation on the inside. You can see some renovation pictures here, and then here's the finished product.
Oh, wow.
And you note the colored permits in the window, so they're all permitted properly. And then this is the outside after repairs. So obviously there's a huge difference in the before and after pictures here.
Definitely.
So the home's totally renovated, taken off the condemnation list, and now it's back on the tax rolls and is a credit to the community. Let's talk about new construction for a minute. In recent years, we've had a lot of national builders in our community, and this past year, we've attracted some custom builders who are building larger and more custom homes, higher end homes, and this is some pictures from Lake Jordan. The building process starts with permit applications and a plan review, and in 2018, we had 4,480 commercial and residential permit applications reviewed by our department. Many of those permit applications are for residential homes and become housing starts, as I alluded to earlier, record construction activity. This is an 18-year comparison of housing starts in our city, and we had 527 starts in 2018, which did set an all-time record. The first quarter of this year, the numbers are putting us on a path to equal or exceed these numbers, of course, depending on the economy again. That record, 527 housing starts, led to a total of just under $130 million in residential construction investments in 2018. On the commercial side, we had 127 new commercial project plan reviews. That's an average of about 11 per month or 2 to 3 per week, however you want to look at it. We collected just over $193,000 in review fees, and this is a photo of the high-rise at Pella Medical. The blue dots on this map show where the residential housing starts are occurring. And this is a hotspot map showing the relative numbers of housing area around the city. It's distributed pretty well. All these homes, new homes, require inspections. Every house requires an average of 18 to 24 inspections, depending on size and complexity. Our building inspectors conducted a total of 28,168 commercial and residential inspections this past year. To keep up, we had to strategically manage our workload by monitoring time off for our staff members and routing inspections in the most efficient routes. This is a 5-year comparison of the inspections, and you see we just broke last year's record, 28,168 this year. This chart shows the total construction valuations of residential and commercial. It's a 10-year comparison of overall construction cost or investment. 2018 was an all-time high of over $369 million. So to summarize building inspections and code enforcement, you can see we've had some success stories in code enforcement, and we continue to experience record activity in levels in commercial and residential construction. I'd like to move over to the engineering division. We're charged with managing and overseeing the paving program, the stormwater program, and city infrastructure projects. Just some highlights of our 2018 paving program. We repaved approximately 1.7 miles in 2018, and we partner with both counties to fund and administer these programs. I would like to highlight the paving on Concourse Way. It's a commercial road that's in poor condition. A standard resurface would have been inadequate. It needed to be rebuilt, so therefore CMRB was utilized, or cement modified reclaimed base. Essentially, it takes the existing road surfaces ground up on site and mixed with Portland cement and relayed and compacted and set up to become the new sub-base and then paved over. It's a very efficient method and to essentially get a new road, and it recycles the existing surface into the new surface. The left picture is a picture of the cement operation and the mixing machine that mixes the cement down into the subgrade. And the right picture is a picture of the compaction effort. This is the finished product. Of course, this was about a year old, so the pavement's already started to fade, but that's what it looks like afterwards. So the after pictures. I didn't get a before picture, but it was a big difference. Just a couple more photos of some paving, Donaldson Avenue and Smith Street. I had some milling operations there. Crack sealing. You may recall in recent years we've had some roads that uncharacteristically exhibited some large cracks, and we added crack sealing to the Greer contract this past year sort of as a trial. The picture on the right, there's a wand. There was a video with it, but it's not working right. But basically that wand serves two purposes. It has a high pressure air jet that blows out the crack, and then part of it is a flame that you can't really see. It burns out the grass and any roots and grass or vegetation that happens to be in the crack. It burns all that at the same time and blows it all out, cleans it out. And then they come back with the sealant, and that's what it looks like. And should have a life expectancy of 5 to 7 years, so we'll monitor these crack sealing as we go forward. Moving to our stormwater program, it's a very large part of managing the city's growth, and it's accomplished, a very large part is accomplished through our stormwater program. The program exists to protect our waterways from stormwater pollutants generated by construction sites or illicit discharges from commercial or industrial sites. The program consists of 6 minimum control measures. Most of our efforts this year were in number 4, construction site runoff control, where we spend the vast majority of our time with plan reviews and site inspections. And number 5, post-construction, we started an inspection program of all existing stormwater ponds this year. We have over 150 stormwater ponds in the city that we have to inspect every 5 years. Very briefly touch on plan reviews. By regulation, we have to review for adequate sediment and erosion control measures that are included on all development plans. And we ensure stormwater runoff, volume, and water quality from newly developed sites is controlled and doesn't negatively impact downstream properties or water bodies. Activity-wise, we had a total of 46 projects in 2018, which is a 24% increase over last year. This graph indicates the levels over the last 6 years, and 46 is the highest we have on record. On average, this amounts to a development project being submitted about every 8 days. We had 120 total reviews because each project takes 2 to 3 reviews before being approved. These plan reviews turn into active sites, and this graph indicates the steady growth in our active sites since 2016. Active sites are now in the low to mid 60s. This is triple the number of sites we had in early 2016, which was in the 20s. As mentioned earlier, we did hire an additional stormwater inspector this year to help us manage, inspect, and report on these sites. And a quick picture of a typical active site. This is Creekside Manor, 59 acres. This is off Burns Road down south. One of the major things we inspect for in the stormwater is pond construction, function, and condition. The 2 pictures on the left are what we're trying to obtain. Those look nice, functioning well. The 2 on the right need some work, and our inspectors work with the developers and contractors to get their sites into compliance. Okay, moving over to infrastructure projects, I'd like to highlight a few notable projects that we completed this past year. Wildwood Drive storm drainage improvement, had about 150 linear feet of pipe. Chick Springs improvement, about 65 linear feet of pipe. And a new head wall. And the Waterbrook Drive was about 100 feet of pipe. And Mary Street, the left picture shows a pipe failing underground. A small sinkhole developed in the edge of the street, and we had to replace about 70 feet of pipe there. The public parking and alley improvement project. Of course, this is important because it needed to be completed before our streetscape project began. And we rehabilitated and repaved nearly 2 acres of asphalt and 3 parking lots and alleys. And here's some under construction pictures. And this is how they function today. Now, to review some current projects that started in 2018 and are still underway, the very important downtown streetscape project has been planned and discussed for years and is now becoming a reality. If you haven't been down there in the last few days, this is pictures of some recent activity. Another internal project is Track It. You've probably heard us mention Track It. It's a new project management software that we're planning to implement to help improve our management of development projects. We had kickoff meetings last March with an implementation schedule of approximately 12 to 15 months, and we've been building and testing. Of Track It has taken a tremendous amount of staff time this past year on top of all our record growth. So it's really challenged our time management. We are a little behind schedule for go lives as we're still testing, but we anticipate go live in August. Some notable professional accomplishments in our department. We have several inspectors and staff obtaining residential and commercial certifications and permit tech certifications. Kelly and Brandon obtained certification as trainer for government officials through the Municipal Association. Catherine holds the office of Secretary for the South Carolina Permit Tech Association. And Ruthie obtained her ADA Coordinator certification and holds office in 2 professional associations as well. And we hosted 2 educational seminars for contractors. So our department is very active in training and being involved in local and state professional organizations, which continues to increase our overall level of professionalism. I've been highlighting all the activities around each division, and as I said, the activity level is very high across our department. And I said last year at this time, as a matter of fact, this is the exact slide from last year, I said 2018 was shaping up to be a banner year for our city. So looking back, all I can say is wow. As it is. So how are we managing all this activity? Well, I've been using a new word recently to describe how it feels sometimes in our department. And the best word I could come up with was frenetic. Many times it does feel frenetic around our office, but that's a good problem to have as it indicates a thriving community. We've made some positive changes to meet these challenging expectations, and with council's approval is that we've added an assistant city engineer, administrative clerk. Track It software is in the works. We still use contract services for plan reviews and inspections to help shave the peak times, and we still have continuous process improvement. There's probably not a week goes by that we don't tweak a process, and I think those folks will attest to that. Matter of fact, we probably tweak them a couple times a week to try to get better, try to reduce confusion and keep everything in order. As always, our goal is to provide professional and timely service to all customers, and even with these recent staff additions, our staff has to hustle to deliver that goal. We know we have some of the fastest turnaround times for plan reviews and permitting, but at times it is difficult to maintain these quick turnaround times due to the consistently high volumes of activity we continue to see. So what's ahead? Can we keep up? The first quarter numbers in 2019 are high and on pace to equal or exceed 2018. Of course, that's related to the economy. To prepare for 2019 and beyond, we anticipate Track It will help improve our efficiency, help us manage our workflow. We will continue to use contract services to help us manage the peaks, and we will still consider the strategic addition of staffing to best manage our needs and goals. Well, you're probably wondering how they keep up with all that activity. It takes people, and here they are. This is our team, a dedicated and hardworking group of people who try their best to do a good job for the city. We've had our share of growing pains this past year and our share of challenges, but I do believe we have a great team in the Building and Development Standards Department. So the takeaway, I think, 3 things. 1, we live in a bustling community. 2, we're experiencing record development activity. And 3, our staff is committed to meeting the needs of our community. With that, I'll take questions.
Thank you, sir. Council?
Looks like a busy time.
Yes, ma'am.
It's easy to see when you're right up down the street, though, all the construction.
The level and quality of developers, whether it's commercial, residential, or industrial, is that, I guess, has it improved? I know many years ago, when things just started, you would get folks who felt like that Greer was blessed that they were there. You know, they wanted us to just give, and it seems like the quality of the development. You don't hear issues in the community about things going on because of the development. Something wasn't done correctly or things like that. Are folks doing business in the city generally they're good quality?
I would think yes, for a couple of reasons. One is we got a top-notch staff who, as you saw, is engaged professionally and improving themselves and their craft. So from the inspections and all the plan review stuff, I would say we pretty well demand that they meet certain standards. As far as if they're actually doing it, I think the inspectors, and they might, Kelly and Ruthie making comment on that, is the level better than it was? So I would say yes, based on those factors.
I know the contractors appreciate it. I had one just this week or last week say they had homeschooling in 6 different communities, and that they preferred working in Greer or any of those places. So. Others? Thank you, sir, and thank you for your staff. Thank you to your staff as well, too, for all that you do. Mr. Diggers, you want to bring us the administrator's report this evening, please, sir?
Yes, sir, I will. Thank you. Also to echo congratulations to Steve and his entire team. We are able to gauge how we plan to move forward based on the activity and what's in the pipeline feeding into that department. As you are aware, we did some significant restructuring several years ago to make sure that all of those planning efforts and our review of our development was all brought in under building and development standards. Has worked extremely well for us. That team is assembled together. They operate in an environment that they share information, and we have found that to be very, very successful for us. To your point of talking with the development community, we make no apologies that we are we hold high standards for development in our community. You can get by with a lot of things in other places that you would not be able to get by with here. That sometimes can cost the development community money. But what we have developed over time is an understanding and an appreciation for quality development. And we believe that will have long-term dividends for us as a community as we continue to have better designed, better engineered, better constructed projects here in our community that will make it safer for our citizens in the years forward as we move forward. So again, congratulations to the team for doing such good work over there. Only a couple of matters to share with council this evening. My last reminder that this weekend is your final deadline for submission of your ethics reports. March 30th is your deadline before you would incur any penalties. So if there's anyone who has not completed that, or if you need to provide any type of amended update to your ethics report, please make sure that those are completed by this weekend, March 30th. Also, just want to remind you again that our employee picnic is scheduled for Friday, April the 12th. We already have over 300 employees and employee family members who have registered for that event. We'll be here in this facility looking forward to that. Again, Friday evening on April the 12th, our employee family picnic. I would like to ask council's consideration to hold this evening until after executive session, ordinance number 9, 2019. That was the last item for discussion on your regular agenda. We do have some information to share with you relative to that project. Again, requesting that you hold that until after executive session. And last but not least, wanted to make sure that we were sharing with you, as we will share with the community beginning tomorrow, our new publication, our Synergy outline project for our downtown streetscape. Kudos to Steve Owens and our marketing team in developing what will be a piece to remember this project. This will be part of the history of Greer as we continue to move forward. It is an excellently produced document. It chronicles what we're doing and how we got to this point. We're extremely proud of it. It goes out in our local newspaper tomorrow as they're distributed tomorrow. We're sharing that with all of our team members, and we have thousands of copies that we'll continue to share with our downtown merchants and our community as we continue our outreach between now and the conclusion of the project next June of 2020. So we'll get lots of use out of this instrument as we continue to move forward. So wanted to make sure we got that in your hands for the first distribution of that this evening. That concludes my report. Certainly glad to answer any questions anyone may have relative to our departmental reports that were submitted earlier or information that you may have questions about.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Council, in items of new business, we have the first and final reading of Resolution Number 8, 2019. This is the allocation of Greenville County CDBG and home funds for program year 2019. Having held public hearing last week, we are ready to move forward on Resolution Number 8-2019. Mr. Mike Sell, Assistant City Manager, Administrator, will bring us information in that regard.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. As you mentioned, Mayor, included in the packet tonight is a resolution for you. The allocation figures and the budget numbers that are included are the ones that were presented during the public hearing. As new information in your packet tonight is the subrecipient applications review that the GCRA staff does for us in reviewing the applications that were received for subrecipient funding. We had $105,590.67 in applications this year. We were able to increase the amount of funding available for that to $60,000, but as always, our requests exceed what we have available to provide. The information that's contained in the packet has the brief descriptions of each of the programs that are contained in the application submissions, and based on the review by the staff, the recommendations to council for the funding amounts for this coming year. With that, I'd be glad to answer any questions. I have Ms. Wabadoo here as well in case there are additional questions that you have.
Council floor is open for questions of Mr. Sell or Ms. Wabadoo, either one, I believe. For the purpose of discussion, I'll entertain a motion to receive.
So motion.
And a second.
Second.
I'll give you time to continue to study that, and the floor will be open for discussion. Questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor, my only question, looks like we had some good applicants, and there was really only one that was not recommended. I would just be curious as to why. Greer Community Outreach.
12 computers. I believe in that if you do not have the details of the application review, but if you take a look at the last sheet of the scoring packet, you can see the scores that were assigned to each of the programs. Of all the programs that we had, that particular one's score was at 372, which was fairly significantly below the scores of the others. I think that opportunity for Greer Community Outreach to review the application that they submitted and probably make some adjustments to make it more competitive and moving forward.
So we make them aware of where they fell short.
Yeah, they will get a notification once council, to let them know that these are the allocations that have been made for the upcoming year, and they'll get information in regards. There's always a seminar held each year at the beginning of the session that they can attend to get information on how to prepare the applications.
But they did get the $80,000 for the building of the house, though, right? Is that the same for community
I'm
outreach?
sorry?
They got $80,000 to build the house. I was asking, is that
Yes.
the same place? Okay.
Yes. Outside of the subrecipient allocations, the memo does contain information regarding the housing projects for funding. That is correct.
So it's not the request for the computers, it was just the application or the
And-
detail they provided, or?
And looking at the scoring sheets based on where in each of the areas, it just looks like that as far as their overall application, they did fairly well. But if you look at their eligibility requirements, that was where one of their lowest scores were. So they probably just need to look at how they're setting up the program to make sure that they meet the head requirements. But the rest of the scores were fairly competitive across the board. It was their eligibility that held them back. So there's probably some items that they need to adjust in the application as they submit, if they submit one in the future.
Others? Ms. Duncan?
Mr. Arrowood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Booker,
Yes.
Mr. Dumas,
Sorry, jumping in, yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Albert,
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Council, on the recommendation of the administrator, we will reserve item B for consideration after executive session. Do I have a motion to adjourn to executive session and for stated purpose?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to enter into executive session to discuss a contractual matter pertaining to Project O'Hare as allowed by state statute, section 30-470A2.
Have a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Ms. Duncan?
Mr. Arrowood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Booker,
Yes.
Mr. Dumas,
Yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Albert,
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. Council, in executive session this evening, we have considered one contractual matter. That was a motion to go into executive session to discuss a contractual matter pertaining to Project O'Hare. Do I hear a motion to come out of executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Ms. Duncan?
Mr. Arrowood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Booker,
Yes.
Mr. Dumas,
Yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Albert,
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. Council will return to items of new business, of which item B is the last item before us this evening. That is the first reading of ordinance number 9-2019. This is an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of an economic development agreement by and between the City of Greer, South Carolina, and Project O'Hare with respect to infrastructure credits to be applied against fee in lieu of taxes payments related to certain investments in the city and other related matters. Excuse me, I had a little trouble with that one. I'll entertain a motion to receive.
So motion.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. Floor is open for discussion. Questions? Comments? Hearing none. Ms. Duncan?
Mr. Arrowood,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Booker,
Yes.
Mr. Dumas,
Yes.
Mr. Bettis,
Yes.
Ms. Albert,
Yes.
Mayor Danner.
Yes. Council, having no further stated business, stand adjourned.